Hey, welcome. Brandon Dempsey, worshipteamtraining.com, our morning show. Great to have you. How is everybody doing? Wow, yes, we are back. Today is Wednesday already. Is it Wednesday? It's Wednesday. I can't believe it's Wednesday. Can you believe it's Wednesday? What's going on with you guys? How are you? Everybody, fantastic. Great people coming in on both Periscope and also Facebook Live. Yes, I know. I've missed you guys too. A lot of you guys right now are coming in on Periscope and asking, hey, what's going on? Where have you been? And of course, as most of you have been following the tweets, we are finally over with our Texas flood. That's been happening forever. And it's great to be back, but we've had a lot of cleanup, a lot of stuff happening, but a lot of great stuff happening and a lot of great stories and what God has done. So we are here to share that with you today. So welcome. Glad you guys are here. Hey, right now is a perfect time. It is a perfect time. Yes, thank you so much, you friends on Periscope. Thanking me to be back. I'm glad to be back. It's great, even greater to be back with you guys. So if you would, at this time, please go ahead and share this out with all your friends. If you're watching Periscope, just slide over on your Apple device, swipe up and down. Awesome. And then share that out on Twitter as well. If you're watching us by Facebook Live, welcome. And you guys too, please hit the like button and like us. And also share this broadcast out with people that you know, your worship leaders and your worship leader callers. Friends, let everybody know what's happening. And thanks so much for that. You guys are fantastic. My name is Branon Dempsey, and I'm the CEO and founder of worshipteamtraining.com. And it is a delight to come to you every weekday. Monday through Friday is when we broadcast at 10 a.m. Central Standard. And what do we do, or who are these broadcasts for? Well, they're for worship leaders like you, musicians, singers, pastors, audio tech, worshipers. We have a lot of people that watch these broadcasts that are not on a worship team, so we thank you guys for coming in. It's great to have you. Who am I? My name is Brandon Dempsey, and what does worship team training do? Well, we do exactly what we say. We train worship teams. We go to churches like yours and put on a 1 or 2 day workshop just individually for your worship team. We don't do the large, big conferences. I mean, it's great that a lot of other people do that, and they do it well. They do it better than us. Our specialty is the individual church. Also, worship leaders. We have a mentoring program, just one-to-one. That's with me or any of our great staff, Stephanie Kelly, Tony Guerrero, Rich Kirkpatrick, many others. As you can find all the stuff there at worshipteamtraining.com/workshops and also /mentoring. So this is great to have you today, and man, let's just get on with it. We're here to talk about live the songs that you sing. And how do we sing our prayers? I mean, that is an important topic because that has way more to do than just leading the song itself. Amen? So glad that you guys are here. Hey, if this is your first time today on the broadcast, we say welcome and thank you for joining us. We have a lot of you folks that come in. I mean, like probably, you know, our Facebook at least goes out to 25,000 per week. You guys are watching us. And on Periscope, we have many more. So welcome. And if you guys would, please type in new in all caps. Just type in the comment window. If you're watching by Periscope or Facebook Live or even YouTube, type in new and the city or country of where you're from. And also, of course, if you're family, please type in fam as in F-A-M as in family. So we always know who we're hanging out with. We got some great people coming out. Psalm Seer from Detroit on Periscope. Our good friend Scott Hussey. What's up, Scott? Also watching us on Periscope. New from Perks Namor. New, North Carolina. Awesome. Great to see you on Periscope as well. You guys on Facebook, just go ahead and type in your responses. Also, let us know what's going on. It's so great to have you and to come to you every weekday. This is great. So sing your prayers. That is what we're going to be talking about today. Moana, Lisa, how are you? Facebook Live. Great to have you folks. Man, I mean, why do we do these broadcasts? Because we know that there are many worship teams and leaders just like you who just want the uncut real deal. Am I right? I mean, no flab, no flash, no veneer, no exterior. I mean, just tell it like it is. How do I do this? I need help. I'm not alone. Broadcast. This is what it's about. You guys make it happen. In fact, you guys bring the topics. And we just love you guys every day. Our inboxes get filled with messages, and also on Twitter, and as you follow us on Snapchat, and constantly it's just back and forth. Now, my apology, because I have not been quite as active as I want to be, both on a lot of the social medias. As I said last week, really hit us hard with the flood. But now that we're back, we're getting the train going, and we're doing the topics that you want. You guys let us know what is up. You guys let us know what's on your heart. You guys tell us, what are you going through as worship teams, leaders? Hey, we have a lot of pastors that watch this too. Pastors contact me through LinkedIn, and they're like, hey, thanks for speaking on this. Hey, that's really opened my eyes about understanding my worship leader. Look, this is what it's all about. And also, it's just as important, worship leaders, as we understand our pastors and staff that we serve with. Amen? They're the biggest supporters and partners that we can have in the church. So let's move on. If you want to follow us by Twitter, please do that. I mean, look, everybody's on Twitter, right? All you got to do is just hit us up on Twitter at WorshipTT, just like Moana Lisa that's watching us from Facebook Live. At WorshipTT, you can find all the stuff there. It's great. Miss QPP on Periscope. Thank you so much. We are doing well. She's asking us how are we doing in Texas. Way better. So way better. Our churches are not floating anymore, so that's good. I mean, otherwise we have to go in we'd be doing like marine ministry, right? Maritime, or I don't know. That didn't work either, so fine. Anyway, follow us on Snapchat. Hey, if you want to get more content, more thoughts, and things that I'm going through throughout the day, things that we're writing about at Worship Team Training, thoughts that we're having at Worship Team Training, you want more, you got more. All you need to do is follow us on Snapchat. Go to your app store. That's on your Google Play, Droid, or Apple device. Go to Snapchat, download the program. No, you're not too old, okay? You're not too young. And just add us, Worship TT. Just add us right there. It's so much fun. So we do these Snapchat stories throughout the day. We talk about everything from the morning show that we did, the posts that we put out daily, other videos, webinars, tweets, you name it. And there's a lot more content that we show. Monique, what's up on Periscope? Great to see you. So that, we also re-upload everything to YouTube and Vine. I mean, we're all going. And because of that, there's like 80,000 of you guys that follow us every week. That's like crazy. That's just crazy. I talking to Stephanie Kelly, one of our awesome staff members here at Worship Team Training. Fantastic worship leader, sweetheart, amazing voice, and even amazing music arranger, pianist. It's just a great songwriter. She and I actually, just heads up, we're going to be writing some songs later on once we get settled throughout this year. So that's going to be something to look forward to. But Stephanie and I were talking this morning about just the global reach. And she's also one of our mentors and instructors, does an awesome, fantastic job. If you want to know more about Stephanie, just head over to our mentoring page. That's worshipteamtraining.com/mentoring. I've been talking with her, our content media manager, Kelly, of course, who slugs it out every day. Shout out there to Kelly. Thank you so much. Neil, and also Michael. This is the team, man. This is the curating team that we work every day on topics for you. And then also our hats off. Shout out to Tony Guerrero, Rich Kirkpatrick, all of our mentors, instructors doing a fantastic job. Hey, by the way, Tony Guerrero has a special guest for us coming up on our next Hangout. The next Hangout is going to be May the 4th, okay? Be with you. Did you get that? We're going to have Alva. She's one of the most awesome worship leaders from Saddleback Church. She's going to come on the program. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then that's May the 4th. And then May the 25th, our season finale. Couldn't think of a better person. Tommy Walker is going to join us on the program. So more info about that later. It's going to be fantastic. Tommy, if you're watching, Alva, Tony, thank you so much. You guys make these shows happen too, and we can't wait to hear from your heart and your ministry. Let's move on, shall we? We got more stuff to cover. Hey, by the way, if you check out worshipteamtraining.com/events. We got more webinars coming. We had a great webinar yesterday with Laura Marriott. Big shout out and thank you to Laura Marriott, who's just pumping it out. Had a great time. Did vocal stuff, breath control, everything from vocal technique, posture, the correct form of naturally singing and how to blend and tone. Look, if you missed it, it's okay. You can still sign up. All you need to do is find the link that we put out yesterday. Oh, Laura, I didn't know you're watching my Facebook Live. Thank you. See, it's great when you can say great things about people that you never know if they're watching or not. That's kind of like a test right there. So awesome. Laura, love you. Laura, we had a lot of fun yesterday, so I can't wait. We're going to have her come back, maybe like in the fall, but it's just a lot of great content. So Laura Marriott, not only did she do the webinar, but she also is a mentor with us here at Worship Team Training. So if you are interested in signing up with Laura, all you need to do is go, and that's Stephanie Kelly, Tony Guerrero, many others. Go to worshipteamtraining.com/mentoring. And we have things for you, because we realize that being in worship ministry is not an easy task. It's not easy. The calling is there, and God is with us. But it's the challenges that we see God pull us through. That's what makes the difference. And Laura is a great testimony of that. So be sure to also follow her Periscopes. She does daily Bible devotions, Bible studies. Awesome. So can't wait to get more for you with Laura. That's going to be fantastic. So today, I'm going to just scroll here. Please excuse me with that flipping of the screen. Anything to help wake you up, hey, that's what we're here to do. So anyway, you can find the links that we put out yesterday on Twitter to still sign up for the webinars. We have like 312 people signed up. So it just keeps growing every day. And so it's amazing. So thank you guys. Our mentoring program, as I mentioned, you'll find Laura and many others there. There's your screen, /mentoring, worshipteamtraining.com. And so today, let's get on with it. Sing your prayers. What does it actually mean? So let's just throw this out right now. Dan Spitz from Anthrax. Okay, if you remember the band Anthrax. Dan Spitz, who was the former lead guitar player. By the way, that's another thing to keep out on your radar, because we are going to have Dan Spitz come back to the program. And also, we're also talking to another very well-known hard rocker guest. I'm not going to say his name, but he's among the big four of the heavy metal bands. We're right now just trying to see where he's at, but he too came to Jesus. And so we want to hear his testimony like we had Dan Spitz. And you can see... Sorry about that. I had to see down below real quick because I thought I was tripping over something. Anyway, Dan Spitz, you will see the replay of that on our Hangout shows, and that's on our YouTube channel. Or if you just go to worshipteamtraining.com and go to the Hangout or podcast tab, and you'll find the show right there. Dan said amazing things, and what I loved, what he said, it's still, I think it's going to stick with me for life. And this is what he said, and I'm paraphrasing here because I can't say it as well as he did, but he said something to the effect of, do you just want to be another, this is what he said, do you want to save souls, or do you just want to be another cookie cutter worship team? That really got my attention. Why? Because we fall into that trap every week, don't we? We don't want to be cookie cutter. We don't want to be the same, but sometimes we get in that rut. That rut happens even when it comes to songs. I mean, look, we've been singing songs now for what? 20, 30, 40, 50 years? Maybe older? Younger? Maybe the song came out last week and maybe you sang it once, but, time will pass by and before you know it, it's going to be one of those top 10 songs that maybe we've been doing hundreds of times in our churches. So the question that I have for you today is, when you sing your songs, are you singing just words or are you singing prayers? So let's open up the dialogue right now. Okay, all you got to do is type in the comment box that's right below where you're watching. If you're watching from Periscope, Facebook Live, YouTube, or wherever, even on our own site at worshipteamtraining.com. Plus, if you want to follow today's article, Sing Your Prayers, you can find it right there at worshipteamtraining.com. So let's get into it, shall we? So here's the thing that struck me. Mark D. Roberts, very, very astute, and he probably wouldn't say that of himself, but very astute Bible scholar, teacher, theologian, mentor. The guy is amazing. I've had the pleasure of studying under him when I did my master's in worship, but also he's been my mentor for 10 years maybe, longer, 15 years maybe. And I love what he said. He said this one day, and we're hiking up this hillside in the hill country of Texas, and he just turned around and he just said, you know, Branon, he said, God is really serious about our words in worship. And I just thought to myself, wow, how, just think about that for a second. God is serious about our words in worship, of worship. And then the other question came to me was, the question came to me, what are the words that we're saying? What words are we saying in our worship? Are they words of, let's put it this way, are they words of building up one another? Are they words of unifying? Are they words of encouragement? Or are they words of complaint? Are they words of disgust? Are they words of gossip? I mean, think about all the words that happen within your church. How is that reflective in your personal life, in your home? Look, none of us have it down. And this is exactly the reason why God put you and I in ministry, put you and I on the cross, because he wants to perfect his love through us and use our imperfections for his glory. But when we look at the bigger gamut of worship, and we look at the bigger landscape, if you will, of worship leading, I've always said this before, and it's on my heart every day. We lead more than songs in worship. Then what do we lead? Relationships. That's exactly what we lead. So as we do that week after week, how are we leading the songs? How are we leading prayer? What is important to those that we are leading in worship? And why do our words matter? I mean, look, I know a lot of people would probably just, when they hear this, they probably shirk it, and they probably think, yeah, well, they know the words, or no, they don't get it, it doesn't matter. And you just go through the song, you're like, it's really about the song, because I want to sound like this band. I want to sound like this worship leader. I want to be like that. Why? For whose glory? For your own or for God? And that's why it all comes back to God himself. I mean, when you think about worship itself, worship begins and ends with God. It doesn't start with us. It doesn't start with our guitar or keyboard or microphone. It doesn't start with the way that we want to play drums, or the way that we want to do the music, or the way we want to look on stage, or whatever else. It's really about God himself. So what are we doing as servants of Christ to allow God to work through us in such a way that leads people not just in the worship, but to lead them deeply into the relationship of God and the kingdom of God? That, I feel, is our call as worship leaders. And when we do that, we make great music. We celebrate the skills and gifts and art that God's given us. But it has to start with God first. I mean, we have this reminder in Psalms 122, right? That unless the Lord builds the house, the laborers build in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the watchmen wait in vain. So are you in vain in watching the worship service? Are we just in this void of... Sorry about that, folks. Are you guys still with us? Facebook Live? Okay. We had a little dropout connection there. Sorry about that. So the question is, where are we? And why is this so important to, when we lead worship, why is that important? for people. Because I feel like this. There's so many of us that throw our songs out at the church, right? And we're hoping that one day that they'll get worship. We're hoping that by this song, they'll understand worship. We're hoping that something that we do or say will inspire worship. And that's all well and good. It's great. But song alone won't teach people worship. What's going to help, number one, is your senior pastor in your church, because they're the worship leader. Number two, it's how we live our lives, both off and on stage. And so when you talk about singing your prayers, that's really, for me at least, that's where the rubber hits the road. So what kind of songs are you singing? I mean, and I'm not talking about the songs that you hum along on the radio, and that may be good too, but what are the songs that really grip you the most? Like, maybe it's that quiet moment, that quiet hour when you're with God. Maybe it is when you're at the altar of Christ. Maybe it's when you pick up that instrument or that microphone, or just maybe it's responding to that whisper that you hear at 2, 3 a.m. in the morning that no one else is listening, and it's just you and God. What is that melody like? What is that song like? And then a deeper application, how are you bringing that song to the Lord? And then also, how are you sharing what God has done in that song with people? I really believe that when we lead worship and we're leading relationships, it's this melody of the church that becomes so unmistakable, it's just remarkable, of the distinction of notes. I mean, like Paul said that how can our instruments make the distinction of notes if we don't have love? And I just see that so imperative with how we live our lives as worship leaders. It's not perfect, but that's okay. We have many of you say that, man, that you guys write and you message me and you say, yeah, Branon, I feel alone, or Branon, I feel like I'm not making a difference, or even Branon, I feel like my skills are not up to par, or you know what? You're in the right position. If you're actually saying those things, you're in the right position. Why? Because you're recognizing, number one, that God's called you to something greater than yourself. Number two, you're humble about it. And you're not saying, well, I'm the best at this and I got this down and I'm polished. No, you're saying the other way around. And number three, you got the right heart and spirit for God to use you just as you are. God's not calling you to be that rock star. I mean, Kelly and I were laughing yesterday about this phrase. Kelly, I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it, all right? But she said to me, this new thing in the church is like when they do the song and they sing the song, and after they do it, you get people that go around the church and say, oh man, they killed it. Yeah, they brought it today. They brought it to worship. They killed it at worship. And it's kind of like, I just find that funny to hear. We brought it, like brought what to worship? Brought what? Our Bibles, right, Sean? We killed it. We killed who? We killed a microphone, or killed the lead guitar player, or killed Jesus? What? Seriously. People are saying this. Chris, what's up? Good old friend. Chris, how are you? Love you, man, over Facebook Live. Also, big shout outs to you guys laughing right now on Periscope Live. Betty and Charisse and Sean, love you guys. But it's true, isn't it? It's like, do you think of, really think about the words that you're using. We killed it in the church. We brought it. So-and-so brought it today. I'm like, what is this, a sporting event? And what's funny about it is that even if it was, yeah, Betty, I agree with you. Those comments are uncomfortable. I don't like them either. But if it is like a sporting event, now check this out. All right, we're going to flip this on the other foot. Are you ready? Are you ready for this? Because I'm about to unleash. You ready to go? I'm serious. I'm ready to go. You got me fired up. Hey. I got to pause. I don't want to be too rough. All right, here it is. If it is like a sporting event where people say, oh, they brought it, oh, they killed it. All right, really? Well, then why aren't they acting that way when it comes to responding to God in worship? Tony Guerrero said this: if sporting events are so great and people can cheer on their team, they can raise their hands and they can be like, go, Spurs, go Rockets, go Mavericks, whatever, right? Well, if they're so gung-ho about that in public, why can't we be so gung-ho about God in the service? Why can't we be so gung-ho about God in the community? I mean, I had this, look, I was a little bit late this morning. Sorry. I came on, I was like 1 minute late. I was at the grocery store. Again, I love our people at our neighborhood grocery store. They know me, I know them. And one of the ladies, when I'm checking out, she just said, and I'm kind of like, sorry, but I mean, I'm kind of in a hurry, because I know, okay, the live show's coming up. I got to get to the studio. We got to get cameras and everything. And I'm getting eggs and stuff. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I got this to do and that to do, but I'm also, trying to say hi to her and everything. And she looked right up at me and she goes, she said, you come in here every day and you always say hi to everybody and you're like one of the nicest customers. And right then and there, it's like I can feel like my stomach absorb my jaw, okay? And I'm just kind of like going, because little did she know, I'm thinking about everything else that I have to do. But, here's a lady who's working hard at her job, and I'm thinking that's the whole impact about our words. And I had no idea what little words that I may be saying to her, but for her, it was a big deal. And when I looked at her face, she was smiling. And then I thought to myself, wow, I worked in a grocery store when I was in high school, so I can appreciate that. But if you're working in retail or at customer service jobs, you guys that are out there, or even in the church, there's a lot of bad people that can come through in customer service. And you got people yelling at you, you got people harping on the phone, whatever. And to have somebody that just comes along and they're just treating you like how you want to be treated, you never know. I mean, Sean said this on Periscope, you're right. You never know how much of a blessing you're being to other people just by being you. And here I was, so I was in a hurry, but I was also trying to not let that get the best of me. And then to see her look up, and I just thought, wow, as we're doing the show today, even right now I'm thinking, wow, how impressive is that when it comes to leading worship? And we get so tied up, right, in our thoughts and what we're trying to do and our to-do list and everything else that we're trying to accomplish, right, before we lead worship. Oh, I got to check this wire. I got to check this channel. I got to get the guitar to sound right. Monitor has to be at the right level. Singers they're not memorizing their words. I mean, we can go on and on and on and on, right? And those are not bad things because we're human. They're going to happen. But how do we deal with it? And even more so, how do we guide our words in such a way, again, that God can use them in which we can sing our prayers? So I'm sorry, I tend to get real fired up and tangent. I just feel it. I mean, this is like, I wake up every day just, I can't explain it. I mean, and you guys, I know you guys are here. I know you guys are here with me. We're all in this thing together. We're deep in the trenches. This is what it's about. So, sorry. Sometimes anyway, let's move on. But we're going to stay on this topic. So, because check this out. I wrote this in the article today, and Betty says, "Don't apologize." We are what we are, right? Okay. Man, it just amazes me because look, none of us are superhuman. None of us have it all down. We're not perfect. But look, we're just here to talk about the real deal. That's it. If you can't talk about the real deal, what are you talking about? What are you singing about? What are you leading about? So have you ever thought about how God can take a melody by writing a song upon your heart, all to sing from your lips as a prayer to his name? I love Dennis Jarnigan. Dennis Jarnigan is one of my favorite worship leaders of all time. He wrote the song All in All. And Nobody Can Fill My Heart Like Jesus. Who Could Satisfy. A lot of awesome tunes. And he said this, I remember one day, he said, "Branon, when I receive songs, it's like God just sings over me." And if you know Dennis Jarnigan, that's the verse of his heart is Zephaniah 3:17. God just sings over us, just like the crashing of the waves always over us. And I just thought, wow. And he said this, and he said, you know, how often are we singing back to God what he's washing over? I mean, wow, what do you think about that thought? I mean, when I first heard, like even now, I'm just kind of thinking, I don't do that as much as I desire. I mean, like how can, you know, I just love how when Christ comes in our hearts and our souls, you know, it's like he becomes the filter of our heart, the Holy Spirit. And like the bad water that rushes into the world, God purifies, and we give that back out to him. And the same, when God sings back over us, he refreshes our soul as we delight ourselves in him. Psalm 37, right? And as we delight ourselves in him, we find the joys of our heart that don't even come from us. The joy and the songs and the melody originally come from God himself. So what's awesome about that impact is that it's like nothing came from us. That's why, again, I say worship doesn't begin with us. It begins with God. Don't you see? It's like worship begins and ends with God. He's the one that puts the desires in our hearts to write songs, to sing songs, to lead songs. There's nothing else like it. I mean, look, if you're down and you're like, you know, depressed or you're getting frustrated, I mean, look, think about these things. That's what Paul said. That's what he meant in Philippians when he said, fix your mind, your heart, your focus, your eyes on Jesus. I mean, man, that's just like, wow. Man, I just, you know, man. So when was the last time that you really focused? When was the last time that you really focused on the words that you're singing? I mean, there's such a difference, man, because, I mean, when you can tap into that lyric, thank you guys. You guys are awesome, Periscope, Facebook Live, thank y'all. When you can tap into that lyric and you can see what God is doing, I mean, it's like, this is what I challenge you to do that this week. Think about the words that you're singing and how they talk about who God is, right? And then take those words and see how they're being sung by the church. I mean, it's like this puzzle of grace and mercy that it's like we got a song here, people there, melody over here, and it's just fascinating how God just like the cosmos, he brings everything into order, you know? It's like all these puzzle pieces just fit at the right time, at the right place. One of my favorite pastors in the world, David Rose, that I served with at Friendship Assembly of God in Richmond, he said this, and I say this every now and then on the broadcast, but he said, you know, Branon, today in worship will never be like another day like this again. In other words, the same people, this time, these needs that come to the church, these songs, these moments of prayers, and then the spoken word will never happen like this again. And then he asked me the question, what are you doing to make the most of that moment? And I just thought, I like to cry and bow and confess everything, you know? It's like, it would stop me deep in my tracks, right? But I have such a love for this man. And also the new pastor that I'm going to be serving with right now, his name is Pastor Doug Kringle over at Family Faith Church. And that is this week is my first week back home. So all you guys, Family Faith, I love y'all. If you're watching right now, wow, I just cannot wait to be with you. It's just fantastic. So when we think about the words that God gives us, I mean, this is check this out. I love this quote. Saint Augustine of Hippo said this: "He who sings prays twice." Again, he who sings prays twice. I mean, that in itself is an encouragement, is it not? I mean, again, the words that you sing, the words that you pray. I mean, Holland Davis, one of my favorite mentors of mine, who's on our team as well, who mentored me in the worship ministry way long ago. He's been the one that's always been of this proponent to say, sing your prayers. That's where it came from. It didn't come from me. Holland Davis said that. Buddy Owens also opened another big door of that as well. He talked about sung prayers. Holland Davis says to sing your prayers. And I spent a lot of time with these guys when I did my worship training and master studies in Orange County in California. And that was years ago. But, meeting with them, guys like Tommy Walker, that's where I first met Tony Guerrero, actually. Monty Kelso, Stan Endicott. All these great, giants, And what's awesome is that when you surround yourself with people who know more than you, you kind of have this weird, you see God's wisdom in these great men and women. And you just kind of, Sally Morgenthau is another one. And you just kind of look at them and you're like, wow. And you really, it's like God just causes you to think about every step that you take, right? That's what happens to me. And when I meet with these guys, it's like you really don't have a lot to say. You got all these questions, but what comes out is kind of and I really believe that, Paul encouraging Timothy in the Bible couldn't be any more truer when he says that we should share all good things with our teachers and instructors. And so when we think about prayer, we think about song, we think about praying and singing twice. That has an importance of Scripture. But why? Why is that? And where do you see that? Okay, look at the Psalms. If you look at the Psalms from verse 1 to 150, that actually is the original hymn book before any music was written. That is the actual oldest of song ever recorded that was written down. Egyptians had their own thing, and I know this from music history. Every culture had their own system of writing, but the Bible was the very first written songs for God's people. And so it's amazing when you read the Psalms, because there's history, there's royalty, there's thankfulness, there's faith, but there's also pain, tears, there's agony, there's defeat, but there's victory, there is health, healing, prayer, praise. All these things. And what's magnificent about the Psalms is that they're very emotional. Just look at the Psalms. Look at the words of the song, and just check out Psalm 119. It's the longest chapter in that entire book, and it blows me away. That was our capstone. It was Psalms 119, 175, and it says this. I love this, right? That's our capstone verse for today. That's what we wrote the article on. Wow, you were? That's awesome. Great verse. Periscope was saying they thought about that verse too today. Very cool, Elaine. Psalms 119, 175 says, "Let me live that I may praise you. Let me live that I may praise you. And may your laws sustain me." Okay, let's think about this chapter for a second, Psalm 119, because this comes from David as David's being chased by Saul. David is at the point of near death. And he's saying, let me live, not so that my life can be spared, but he says, let me live that I may praise you. He's like surrendering, sacrificing his own life just to live again to praise God alone. That's like, how often do we do that? It's like we just pray, God, help me live just to see the next bill that I can pay, or help me live another day just to do this and do that. And David here is saying, let me live that I may just simply praise you. Wow, when you put Scripture in perspective like that, and then when you can connect it to your church I mean, can you think of anything more powerful in the leading of worship? I can't. I mean, when the pastor is speaking upon that word, and you have, a great, if it's music, if it's a video clip, if it's a work of art, or it doesn't even have to be, it gets to be spoken word, it gets to be prayer. But just that whole idea of just surrendering that our lips may praise Jesus and asking for nothing in return. That is the kind of worship the Father is seeking. That is where we find the spirit of truth, spirit and in truth. Because it's the Spirit of Christ, it's the truth in His Word. And what's awesome is when we see the marriage between Old and New Testament coming into the covenant that Jesus made, the new covenant, and how all of that interacts, how it layers. I mean, that's why I say, think about the words that you sing, and then sing your prayers. Sing your prayers just like David did in the Psalms. I mean, David starts out saying in verse 171 of chapter 119, may my lips overflow with praise. Think about all the words that we say. And this guy's saying, may my lips overflow with praise. For you teach me your decrees. He's putting himself in the authority, sovereignty, and hand of God. And he's saying, look, Lord, my songs come from you. They don't come from the set list. They don't come from the back wall. They come from you. And if these songs truly do come from God, how are we singing them back out? And how are we inviting the church to join in the ceremony, if you will, the symphony of praise? This, Christ tells us to dwell richly in His Word. That's Colossians 3:16. How are we doing that? And it even says there, it says to dwell in the Word richly, and then to sing psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs to comfort one another, admonish one another. I mean, that's where it comes from. This is our task. This is what leading worship is about. So look, if you thought maybe that you're just a singer or just a guitar player or just an audio tech or volunteer, or maybe you're not doing anything in the church, look, let me tell you, the Bible already says you have something much deeper in your life that God has called you to beyond what you realize. So are you allowing Him to have it? And you don't need to be a musician or singer to do this. I know plenty of people that work in corporate America that they give their talents and skills and success to God in some form, in some way. How are we doing that on a daily basis, and how are we singing this back out? So, well, a lot was said here today. So I thank you guys for all the comments here, Facebook Live, Periscope. We're going to wrap up. This is our final minute here. Before we close, what's on your mind? I mean, I said a lot here. I did a lot of talking, but go ahead, like Periscope, Facebook Live, go ahead and type in right now and comment your response. If you're watching this by the replay, thank you for that, by the way. Let us know. Type in the comment box as well. Okay, so Miss Smith from Periscope says, I'm a dancer. She says, my dance is my prayer. That's beautiful. Wow. I mean, that's like a physical posture is very biblical. You read that in Psalms as well. David says, my hands are lifted high, I surrender and bow to my knees. My arms are stretched out like a dry and weary land. I mean, all these great things, Victoria on Facebook Live says, so good, because sometimes we always expect God to show up in our worship of daily lives, but sometimes we forget to give back. Yes. Cherise says, I'm on Periscope, I'm still struck on the he who sings praise twice. That spoke to me. Awesome. That's great, Cherise. Cherise, many others of them are watching right now. That is in our mentoring program. So shout out to you guys. I love that. Thank you, Renew, over at Periscope. Cherise, Monique, awesome. Monique, love you on Periscope. Victoria Mangano says, yes, us dancers are a branch of the worship team. Wow, that is so good. And the same applies to us. Absolutely. Wow, what a word. Thank you, Victoria. Yes, dancers. Each member of the worship team, we're a branch of the worship team. I love that. If you're audio tech, dance, visual art, cinema, video, media art, song, we're all branches to the same tree. That's just awesome. I love that. Miss Smith on Periscope says, I'm praying that the praise and worship in my church be taken to a new level. Amen to that. Any time when you can really intersect reality, wow. John says, challenged even the more to go deeper in worship. Bless you, bro. Thanks. I love you too. Thank you, man. Scott Hussey, leaders to learn the prayers will find the realness in worship. I'm sorry, your comment faded out there, Scott. Monique, thanks. She said God's truly using you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Scott, would you type in your response real quick again so I can be sure to read it? You guys are fantastic, and this is what it's about as far as us sharing with one another, being real. There's nothing else like that, and that's why we do these broadcasts every day, Monday through Friday. Again, follow us on Snapchat if you're not already. Please do that. Just add us. That's Worship TT. Elaine says, I believe that God has taken my praise and worship to another level. Another level, like Israel Houghton, right? Another level. I love that song. Shadrach, I'm sorry, that was Shadrach. What's up, Shadrach? I got you confused. Forgive me, my friend. We need to talk, by the way, Shadrach. Email me. Scott Hussey says, leaders that sing their prayers will find a realness from the people. Yes, leaders who sing their prayers will find a realness with people. Good. Shadrach, contact me, bro. Sorry, I just had a little message to Shadrach here. Just kind of keeping... All right. So, hey, thank you guys for joining us today. Look, if you want more of this stuff, if you feel like maybe you're in this point of life that... thanks, Moana. Appreciate that. Also, you got it. Good, Shadrach. I'm watching you for Snapchat. You guys got to follow me on Snapchat. I'm telling you, because you're going to get more stuff like this. It's Worship TT. Just add us. Look, if you're interested in taking a deeper walk so that God can take you to a higher level, we're not the only place. There's many places you can go. The question is, are you getting help? Maybe it is the church down the street. Maybe it is that worship leader or pastor that you hadn't spoken to in 10 or 20 years. Maybe it's somebody that you know that's in your Snapchat or that's on Twitter or whatever. Are you getting help? This is what we do every day. We have our mentoring program. That's worshipteamtraining.com/mentoring. We have a variety of mentors to choose from. Why is this important? Because we have a 10-week program. It revolves around a book that I had written. It's about 50 or so pages. We start with worship leadership development, and then we also have a second semester that's just music development. But the whole idea is that we take your weekly and daily interactions with ministry, and forgive me for that, guys. We take all of these, all of your interactions that happen daily with your ministry and where God's placed you. And we formulate that into our study with you week to week. And that's meeting with you like based on an hour of your time, whatever that we can schedule. And look, we have different programs that we can make happen. We also have like a 20% off right now. If you're interested, we also give away free sessions. So it's up to you. But we would love to be part of your journey. You find people like Laura Marriott, Stephanie Kelly, Tony Guerrero, myself. My Snapchat name, again, yes, it's Worship TT. And that's all together. I'm responding by Snapchat. Sorry, I'll just leave it up real quick. But you can follow us there. And look, there's a lot of content that we put out every day, like on Snapchat and everywhere else. But in the mentoring program, where can you go? Where can you go that you can have one-to-one help? And I don't mean like somebody just giving you a book and a video and a web link and say, here, you're on your own. You can email me when you want. We'll talk. We don't do that. We talk personally to you one-to-one just like this. I mean, we get on the phone with you or a video chat, and we spend an hour with you each week. There's a lot of students that we have right now watching this broadcast, and they can tell you. Don't take my word for it. Go to our website and just read the testimonies. Read the reflections that we had. That's just worshipteamtraining.com/mentoring. It's all right there. And you can see how God is changing their lives and what he's doing within them. But again, if you don't get help from us, then get help somewhere. And what I mean by help is that, you're a worship leader, singer, musician, pastor, audio tech, or worshiper. We've mentored many people that are not musicians. They're just pastors, or maybe they're missionaries. It doesn't matter. The whole idea is, what are you doing with the life that God gave you, and who do you have in your life to help navigate you in that purpose? Because I know where I've gotten in my life right now and where I'm still going, I'm not getting here by myself. I have many other men and women that are pushing me or leading me in front or walking beside me to help me get to where I'm going. And that's just it. So we offer that to you guys, and it's our prayer that becomes a ministry and strength and source of encouragement for your growth as a worshiper. So again, hit us up, worshipteamtraining.com/mentoring. We got to go for now. I love you guys. Thanks so much for coming on today's broadcast. It's been fantastic. And you can watch all the replays. We're going to load everything back up on worshipteamtraining.com. You'll find all the good stuff there. So have a fantastic day. Love you. And we'll see you guys very soon on the next Worship Team Training Morning Show. Thanks, and see you soon.